my over 30 years of role-playing, mostly as a games master, I've never once considered buying one of those sort of regenerated game table books that sort of tell you how to run a campaign, do one-shot adventures, interactions with NPCs, because I've always considered myself to be incredibly experienced. I've read a lot, I've watched a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, novels, films, TV series, so I'm never short of inspiration for one-shots. And I don't think I've ever been quite so wrong or arrogant as I have been, because I finally picked up one of these sort of generating books, and it's absolutely blown me away. And I wish I'd picked up something, not that I don't think they existed 30 years ago, but when I first got into the hobby, these are absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to take you through the one that I've sort of picked up. I'm going to take you through the books as I do with these reviews. We'll sort of go page by page. I'm not going to show you, well, you'll see all the pages as we go through, but I'm not going to show you how all the tables work, because we'll be here for about 4 hours, and I don't think you want that. But I've actually been messing around with this, not only in a sort of generating stuff point of view, but actually just sort of playing with this, with creating adventures and sort of one-shot ideas. And I think this is actually going to be a fantastic book for one sort of solo play as well. And it does kind of tell you that it's sort of inspired for solo play. But so the one I've picked up, so it's very high on Drive-Thru-RPG already, which is what brought it to my attention. And it's called FlexTale Campaign Generator for Dungeons and Dragons and more. So it is realistically, I think, as you look through some of the tables, there are some sort of, you can see it specifically, or the creator has probably played a lot more 5th edition probably than other editions, but it's easy to just convert this into Shadowdark, any old school essentials, any of those sort of, because the tables in essence are rules agnostic. It also uses a D12 for most of the tables, which well, it's the best dice out there, isn't it? So PDF it's currently only available in PDF, so when you pick this up, I think you're going to want to buy this, because say it's like tonight, well, depending on when you watch this, I was running I've got a one-shot adventure to do for a Shadowdark adventure, and I was like, do you know what? I've actually managed to generate a complete go and find something from scratch, and this is brilliant. So right, 223 pages are in here, okay, and I'll just sort of take you through the summary on here on Drive-Thru-RPG. So it's, if you're playing any sort of fantasy tabletop RPG, this will help. I think you could easily convert this to sci-fi. You're not going to have that much of an issue if you want to convert it to different genres. But there's over 200 generators in here, 54 for quests, 23 for NPCs, overlanding, encounters, magic tables. But most importantly, and a lot of people's going, it's PDF only. It is currently. However, hard copy is coming. Print on demand will be available from August 2025, so we've got just over a month away. At that time, anyone that owns the PDF for this title will receive a discount code for the hard copy costs. Brilliant. What an incredibly wonderful idea, because it means you can pick it up now and then it'll be discounted. I think Drive-Thru-RPG there should be some sort of code for this automatically. I think it's a wonderful thing for creators to do, because quite regularly I'll pick up a PDF and then later I'll want to buy the print on demand because it wasn't available at the time, and then I'm having to pay the cost of the PDF again, which is kind of, you'd like something just to be in the shop to say, absolute, you bought this, we'll discount the difference. So wonderful, absolutely great. So it's written by J. Evans Payne here. When you do pick this up, please do consider using my affiliate link. Say I did pay for this out of the, well, it's actually, this was bought with affiliate link money. None of my actual physical money went into this. So for everyone that is using my affiliate link, thank you very much, because I'm managing to put it back into things that I can then create more reviews, which is living the dream, I guess, is what they say. So here we've got the front cover. FlexTale Campaign Generator. So it comes in at 223 pages. It's huge, and rightfully so, and it covers pretty much everything I think I'm ever going to need for campaign generating and one-shots. We're going to start here with the table of contents, which is nicely hyperlinked through, so you can just jump through to any of the tables in here, which is always good. So the author is J. Evans Payne. He's done the graphic layouts and cartography, iconography as well. And then we've got some cover art here by Kim Van Dun. Probably, if I got that wrong, I'm really sorry. But the book is incredibly well laid out, and it looks a little bit intimidating because there is an awful lot of content. But in essence, it's pretty much one page per table, or one table per page. It's probably a better way of putting it. And it just goes down in order. So a little bit of an introduction, which will take you through the book itself, how it works. We've then got quests, and the quest tables will build. So when we get to looking at the quest, it might end up being a deliver quest or an obtain quest or a stop quest, and it just stays within the section to go and then give you tables on for that bit. We've then got tables for NPCs, their attitude towards you, attitude towards factions as well, and fellow citizens. Overland travel. So I've been trying to run sort of a Western Marches or hex crawl campaign setting, and in honesty, it's okay, but I do feel like I need a few more tables to make it a little bit varied and interesting. So this is perfect timing for me. Also helps with naming of different structures, because that is, when you see a temple, you go, oh, what's the temple called? I don't know. And we can help name them. We've got random encounters here. We can create factions just like that. We've got a huge magic section of the schools of magic as well. Some rewards sections for when they complete the quest or adventure. A penalty section, so if they don't complete it, they might have some sort of impact. And then right at the back of the book, there's some general sort of utility tables, as well as some rules sort of normalization. So being able to change some of these tables specifically for Pathfinder 5th edition, things like that. So absolutely ram-packed. And it says it's based on his over 30 years of games mastering as a forever GM. Why haven't I written one of these? So introduction is just going to sort of take you through how the book works, and I'll show you that as we go through it. Obviously, you're going to want to track and log, because there are different NPC tables in here, so you can randomly use different ones as you go through, or cross them off because you've used that one before. Sanity check is quite good here. So sometimes the result might not seem appropriate. So was the murderer really the king? And you might go, I don't want that, and instantly scratch it off, and it says re-roll. However, have a think about it, because actually the murderer being the king probably is a really, really good adventure campaign hook for you as the games master to let the players find out. And if you take nearly every I think every table is a D12 in here. But if you are using a D6, D20 or D100 system, there's just a conversion table here. I assume that's if you don't own a D12 or you don't want to roll one. And I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to roll D12. It's the best dice out there. Leave your comments down below if you think the D12 isn't the best die. But here, in essence, is, again, the more layout of the book. So it's going to take you through quests, NPCs, overland, encounters, factions, magic, rewards, penalties, general. And each of the tables have got these really wonderful, helpful icons. Iconography is the group, icons, but I don't understand them. Well, I do understand them, but I'll show you what I mean when we get to the tables, because there are millions of them. And now I don't know whether I couldn't find a key anywhere in the book, but look at this. So here, this is what I mean. So stop quests who has got this sign. Stop quest feelings got a heart on it. Now, amazing that all of these different icons are here, but do I need a key? Also, these within the book itself, once you get into it, it's not hyperlinked. And I think this is something that I'm hoping the creator goes back. And if you watch this, please do hyperlink it. And I'll show you what I mean when we get into the tables. Obviously, when you've got a physical copy, you're going to have post-it notes and stuff stuck in and, flicking in between all the different tables. But again, it was going to take you through, quests, NPCs, etc. But I'm not going to sort of recap. I like the fact it recaps it here, and we can see the icons here for all of them. But we're going to start with quests, and each table and each chapter is going to sort of introduce the idea of what the quest is. Once the quest is complete, you'll get the reward. Once the quest isn't complete, you'll go on to the penalties. And it just tells you the pages. Okay, these are the things I'd really love to be hyperlinked. And all of these as well, it would be really handy. But let's just look at where you begin the quest. So obviously, when you're going to be given a quest, you're going to be in a tavern. However, there's only 1 in 12 times it's going to be in the tavern. So you can meet things like jail, dinner parties, marketplace, disasters, funeral, and then you've got the quest giver itself. And within each category, it will link you through, and it might say, so there's these things like APL, which is the average player level, and different NPCs will either be equal to, minus, or plus, depending on them. But sometimes I'd say, this is what I think. So let's say you roll the artisan is the quest giver. It says someone who practices NPC craft, go to page 76. What would be amazing is you could click that, jump straight to the table. Okay, it tells you which table to go to create the artisan NPC, but saving a little bit of time, I think, would make this, obviously it's a lot more time for the creator, but it would just make this really easy to go through. And then it gives you the type of quest. We've got 12 different types of quests, from chase, slay, clear things, trophies, deliver, rescue, etc. And why do the MPs care? Quest items that might be involved. The new world is related. What type of quest? Sorry, who's the quarry? Why is the quarry feeling? How does the party catch up? So all of these are D12s, lots of random stuff, and it will just take you through. And then, so here we got, let's just use the slay quest, which was, so we go back to this table, you'll see chase and then slay. So the first one is the chase one here. And then we get into the slay quest. And so we've got all these like icons in the top right, which sort of details so I'm assuming the more of his books that you buy, or their books, I don't know if it's him, that you buy, maybe the icons are the same throughout. I don't know, but you would assume that. But so the slay quest might be assassinate, a single trophy place. There's so much in here, and who is the actual target. A lot of these will then be creating an NPC using NPC tables or the monster tables as you go on. Where is the target? How many creatures are the target? This is absolutely mad. There's the transportation quests in here where they migrate in escorts. Who are the prisoners in here? I've just say I was just playing with this over the last few nights, and a chunk of yesterday in the day, just randomly rolling things, finding out what the books. But so each of the tables will have sort of like a summary, again explaining what the table is. Considerations, so things like that will, if you kind of don't fully understand what's going on in the table, it might explain it a little bit more. And then with this, you might have timing or probabilities and things. So it just fleshes out the tables, because as you're going through and rolling the D12, you might go, I don't really know how to sort of create that. There's also trigger warnings in the book, which I think some people appreciate. Other people will be like, it's a book, it's a role-playing book, it's going to say things that not everyone's going to like. So, for example, sacrifices here. No, this section contains results that discuss self-harm. So it's... People are going to love or hate trigger warnings. They do. I've got a whole table on political here. Depending on your group, you might want to just avoid that if that's a random roll, because that is very divisive. Interactions, what's the goal here for exploring quests? So that's your first sort of 63 pages. We're then going to get to create NPCs, and we've got, 25 different tables from creating the NPCs, the encounter, their attitude towards you, the faction, other citizens, strangers, their sort of context, their profession, the craft, knowledge, species and race. And this is what made me think this is sort of a lot more sort of 5th edition when we get into that one, because most of the species and race, here we got that craft table that we looked at earlier. So what job do they do? What do they know? This is always a tough one, when you've got an NPC and you're not really sure what they actually know, and it's quite good that you can just sort of pick that out. And here's the species one, and all of these are very, very much 5e. So you might have to adapt that depending on your world and the sort of game you've got in. The background here, a couple of D12s for backgrounds, and then the class they are as well, and the level that they're going to be. Different things like alignments as well, and whether they're commoners, any sort of rumours they know, mannerisms, they got any ticks, NPC quirks, overland travel. So this is all fleshing out your hex crawl, as well as these ones here. So 23 to 26 are really good at, well, they're specifically designed to help name the place. So obviously, as you know, is the standard, this is the overland distance. So if you've got a particular item or place they need to go, you can just randomly roll, and it can be up to a neighbouring continent to go away, which it's in here. You know, you get it's going to come up if you roll it. And then we've got like the different hexes. What's on the hex? What does the hex contain? Say, this is the bit I'm struggling with these sort of West Marches. And then we've got a D12 that has got additional tables inside as well for things like hills, forests. We've got deserts, jungles, swamps, coastal, aquatic, any sort of NPCs, counters, weather phenomenal, because weather, I'm a terrible games master when it comes to weather. It's always the thing I forget. Unless the player asks, they go, "Oh, what's the weather today?" And I go, "It's sunny." I'm awful at it. I just, that and smells. I'm not very good at describing smells. Those are the two things that I really need to work on. And you know, how you sort of build settlements, quick points of interest in here, unique landmarks. I say naming of the sites. So the name of the sites is XY of the ZQ. So we've got XY of the ZQ. I was like, okay, I don't get that to start with. But then the X is the adjective, noun, adjective, noun. So for example, it's the concealed jungle of Dread Emperor. So it's as simple as that. We're just rolling d12s, writing things down. We've then got monstrous divine structures, more NPCs, geographical things like waterfalls and rivers getting in the way, magical structures, military structures and oddities here. And then finally a villainous locale. So where is the big bad going to be sort of based? Halfway through the book now, and then we're going to get into encounters. So we've got 13 tables here from random encounters, so monsters, monster types, their attitude, combat roles, and then we've got a breakdown of different monsters. So on the monster, I think it's the monster type, they'll either be brute, soldier, artillery, skirmish, lurker, controller, or leader. So here we go. And so that's in the encounters table that we're just looking at. And then so it breaks down to type, their attitude, you know, are they hostile towards you, all the way up to friendly. And then we've just got the different types of brutes and creatures, as well as a table of names and approximately, you know, sort of D6, D4 type of the creatures you're going to get for what the creatures are going to do. Now, I struggle with factions. So these are, you know, any sort of cults, religious places, thieves guilds, things like that. If you want to be able to create a faction just like that, got 5 little tables here. So the type of guild they are, obviously, you know, it's a protection racket, local government. The faction type, what are they doing? The membership requirements, you know, can anyone be automatically built in, or have you got to do an illegal act to actually get in? The faction goal, and then define factions here. Magic section here, this is almost specifically sort of 5th edition spells, but again, you could easily convert this into other editions, and most magical fantasy systems do have very sort of similar spells, if that makes sense. And you can break them down by levels: 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, up to 6th, all the way up to 9th. Obviously, Shadowdark's going to be slightly harder to convert because it's only got 5 tiers of spells as opposed to the 9 levels. But it will also break it down by schools of magic as well in here. So it's just a way of just randomly generating lots of different spells and beneficial spell impacts as well. Congratulations, guys, you've actually completed your quest. 16 pages of this is actually one of my favorite sections of the book, because I think as a games master we're all just guilty of going, you know, you've done the quest, or here's the quest, this is what you're going to get, and what you're going to get is money, magic item, or maybe some mundane stuff. This is going to give the players, so when we start looking at reward types, wealth, items, property, resources, artifacts, you know, wealth obviously just come up a fair amount, but, you know, specific items, object, rewards, you know, it's got a table here for different properties, including a ship or ownership of a residence or an estate. Resource rewards, you know, so things if they're going to go and craft, you know, expensive items. Social rewards, you know, NPC attitudes, you know, people are going to like you more. Are you going to get a benefactor or proposed hand in marriage from someone? Well, it says romance, so I guess that isn't specifically going to be hand in marriage, because hand in marriage isn't always romance, is it? So mechanical rewards as well, so combat advantage in here, magical rewards, narrative rewards. Brilliant, absolutely amazing. I wish I'd thought of this before. And then we got, you failed it, so only 10 tables of, you didn't do very well, we're going to, you know, we're going to accuse you of a crime now here. So material penalties as well, so they're going to lose money out of them. Items are going to go, wealth penalties because people don't like them or they've lost out into a bribe, mechanical penalties, so people are going to not like them anymore because they didn't manage to rescue someone's daughter and she was killed by the time they got there. So it's going to have sort of game effects going on. Then finally, we've got these 8 tables here for just some sort of random tables that are sort of, I can say randomly thrown at the back, but random directions here, different damage types, merchant wares, what have they got, some villains in here, some crimes, and then the curse. Then the final sort of 5-6 pages are just conversion tables here between Pathfinder 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, Dungeon Crawl Classics and Old School Essentials in here, and how to sort of convert advantage, disadvantage, skills, because obviously not all of them have a full array of skills in here, and this is a handy section just if you want to sort of convert stuff as previously put into the book. And that is it. It's not it. It's amazing. I've never bought one of these. I haven't been tempted. I didn't think I'd need anything like this in my collection ever. And now I'm going to start looking at more and more of them because, well, they're actually really good resources, and I'm sure in my comments are going to be flooded with people basically saying I'm an idiot for not looking at these sooner. But this is so well laid out. I love the fact it's set out by, you go through, you create your quests, you can create your random NPCs. So it very much feels like a choose your own adventure, just having a kind of play in here. Now, obviously, you're going to have to go and have additional things like names because there are no naming tables in here. So it's not quite the perfect campaign generator, but there are plenty of websites out there to go and find names of NPCs. And the only other thing I thought that was missing is randomly generating magic items, but I don't need that. I got Chubby Funster's Games Master's Companion, and I don't think I'm ever going to run out of generating magic items from that book. But it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I wish I understood the iconography. It does really help you kind of follow things, and I hope it does become hyperlinked at some stage. But it's such an incredibly useful tool that I'm quite embarrassed that I've never looked at them. Does that mean that I was so good that I didn't need them? No, because over the years you really are struggling sometimes when you're trying to create an adventure or a one shot for players, and I can be stressing about it right up until I get going. Because she's like, oh, okay, right, we'll go and rescue the princess from a tower, and I don't really know anything else. I kind of not sure why. And this book will allow it to be the why, and even things about the princess and, what's the plot going on beforehand? How did she get captured? Who really is the main, I love that bit about the king being the murderer and the assassin. It's just, grab this, play with the tables, and you get to say, as I said from the start, you get to roll a d12. I don't really think I can add any more than that. I absolutely love this. Obviously, if you are going to pick it up, please do consider using my affiliate link. It is an amazing book. I'm just having fun just rolling stuff, and I've said that 3 times now. So I'm going to leave it there because I'm just going to keep going round and round in circles as to why you should get this. So I just think you should. If you do pick it up, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.